Yo, better than like it's the Krewe FC, the Roundtable where the real heads be. Talking NFL, the game we adore, but from the touchdowns to the legends, it's so much more. That fucking guy, he's got the stats on lock, dropping knowledge on the field, watching every block. Back and bleeding green, cheering loud and proud. In the sea of cheese, as he's standing out the crowd. I can't hear with the looks and the smarts, breaking down the plays, and he does it with heart. Then the stout, solid like the line. His takes are heavy, his vision's divine. Week by week, we break the game down. From every big play to every new crown. Offense, defense, we cover it all. From the springtime traps to the winner's last call. It's not just a podcast, it's a fan's lifeline. Connecting every moment from the vines to the side.
Good morning, gentlemen. Week 15, Krewe NFC Roundtable. Hope you guys are doing better than me. How are we doing today, guys? It's
better than you every week.
Rough start. That's all I'm going to say. I'll dive into the Bucs debacle after we go around. Let's talk about a better game. That Packers-Bears game last week was pretty. It was a great game. It showed two teams that really belonged, Andy. I mean, you can't be too mad as a Bears fan.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, unfortunately, the Packers did end up winning that game, of course, by a touchdown, essentially. But if it wasn't for that first quarter, I think where they threw for -10 and ran for -5 or whatever the case was, I think they probably would have had a better shot at most. But that ended up being a pretty good game, back and forth for the most part. We did get our takeaway early on that didn't necessarily capitalize on anything, unfortunately. But all told, it wasn't too bad. I just think our defensive front needs to have a little bit more of a push. I think Sweat, had one. I think he had one sack. Gross. But the funny thing is, if they would have gotten a little bit more pressure on Jordan Love, I definitely think that happy feet would have probably ended up in getting at least one more takeaway. But the Packers ended up pulling it out.
Yeah,
because our secondary is so banged up and depleted and stuff like that, they were able to take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. As your secondary, you were missing two of your key components of that backfield, and you still win that game to the very end. You can't be that upset. You really can't.
No, but time management was a little bit funky at the end when you had like 24 seconds left. Instead of actually rolling for the first down, maybe even to stop the clock, he decides to chuck it into the end zone, basically about 2 yards, too short, and right into the hands of the waiting defender. So, all told, it was actually a really, really good game. Unfortunately, my team came out short, but next week they're coming to Chicago, so that'll be a revenge game, I guess.
I was going to say, you got to feel good about this next game coming into Chicago. Hopefully you get a little healthier, but you still got to make it through the Browns first. You can't overlook any team in the NFL. Trust me, Bucs need to learn that lesson as well, but you're facing Shedeur Sanders this week. He's putting points on the board for the Cleveland offense. I mean, what's your outlook on that game?
Two things. Now that it's been 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever the case is, since he's been on there, even though our secondary is going to be depleted and things like that, you have, yes, a mobile quarterback or a more mobile quarterback. But now that there's film on him, I think you're going to be hopefully defenses are going to start to actually clamp down a little bit better, and it's going to be a little bit harder for him to actually move the ball as effectively as he has been. Well, I guess you can say that. They've scored some points, yes, but effectiveness as far as the actual moving of the ball, moving of the sticks, keeping a positive yardage has been kind of, I'm going to say, lacking. I say put in Dylan Gabriel. Even though he went to a different team, he started off at UCF. So, but it is what it is. I reckon. I have a feeling the Bears are probably going to end up winning. It's a home game. They lost to the Packers. We have some injuries for sure, but hopefully we should be able to pull that out by at least 30.
It's looking like Gordon, your defensive back, is out, and you're third string running back Homer's out, but Roma Dunze is questionable. If you have confidence in playing the Browns this week, if you think that this is a game, hey, we should win, we should have the ability to do it without a Dunze, do you keep him out?
Absolutely, you keep him out. There's no way I'd play him. Because if you're going to need him especially for like the game next week, you don't necessarily want to overlook any team. But unless you're playing like an easy team like the Saints, the Buccaneers, Dallas, Washington.
Yeah.
Who else did they get? Outside of that, for example, you would have that opportunity to be able to sit in for another week. Get some more treatment on that foot and pack it down right. So.
Not that you have too many players to worry about in Chicago, but the Browns will be without Njoku. That's going to limit some check down ability for their rookie quarterback. Having a good tight end or a good back you can check the ball down to is beneficial to any young quarterback in the league, especially facing a defense like Chicago that's very opportunistic in taking the ball away. Give me your keys for the Bears to win today. I mean, it's always the same, win the turnover battle, blah, blah, blah. What's your hidden key? What key is there for you for the Bears to pull this out?
Are you done beating that dead horse?
What's that?
Are you done beating that dead horse?
What's the answer?
You can't say the same thing 46 times and, expect a different answer. That's what happens when you get a Bucs fan. But anyway, the weather's going to be a bit of an issue. They're both cold weather teams. So as long as the Bears can actually really establish that line, similar to what they did in Philadelphia. I think they went into Philadelphia. Nobody was expecting much, and they kind of sort of pushed the Eagles around. And so if they have that opportunity to do that with the Browns, which they very well could and or should, because you've got Denzel Ward, Njoku you mentioned, Tyler Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin all ruled out, and you have with those type of injuries to their defense and even some of their offense, you have that opportunity to be able to really put your will down on them, and which is kind of gross. But anyway, to be able to actually move that ball, control the line of scrimmage, and control the clock. So weather is going to be one thing, control clock, defensive line, and you have to protect, of course, your quarterback, who he was rushed a little bit more than he could have and should have been last week. I think there was maybe at least 4 or 5 different times when he was kind of sort of running around pretty much. Yeah, he definitely should have been protected a little bit better than that. So, and that was actually one of the keys, really, is that they were actually blitzing quite often. And so when you load the box, similar like the old 46 of the 85 Bears, similar to that, when you actually get so many people up at the line, you can't block anybody. He probably should have either changed the play, audibled out, or called a timeout, whatever the case was, or even do what they did, is do that little dunk and dive over the middle and actually score a touchdown from 60 yards or whatever it was, to kind of sort of loosen up the defense a little bit.
Yeah. So the weather today, right now, I'm on the opposite side of the lake, but right now we just cleared 3 degrees.
Nice.
So, I mean, that the wind is going to be a factor. Yes, the cold temperature is going to be a factor, but that ball is going to be very hard. With the air temperature being so low and there being moisture in the air, that ball itself will be like a rock. You ever? I mean, all 3 of us have played in cold weather areas. That ball kind of condenses a little. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to hold on to. It's slippery. This sounds like a terrible ad for a terrible, terrible show. But, yeah, ball's going to be hard.
I think that's actually going to be next year's name. It is actually kind of chilly around here. I think right now it's like 68. So it's actually kind of oof. No, it's a humid type of but I think the weather is actually going to play. Like I said, they're both weathered teams, so that's not going to necessarily one team's going to be out, the other team's going to be out, that kind of thing. So,
you got 2 young quarterbacks, though. I mean, it's going to affect I promise you it's going to affect the throwing game.
Well, think about this now.
He's going to be affected.
Shador's from Colorado. Colorado gets a little brisk at times. Caleb, Southern California, unfortunately, he went to SC and stuff like that. So one of those things is definitely going to, potentially play a little bit of a factor. He might go to the sideline and be like, wow, it's chilly. And have to change, maybe redo the polish there because it gets chipped in the cold weather.
Yeah. I think the Bears' ground game is going to help him out. That was what I was trying to get at, and I was trying to lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So I really think the Bears going to lean on the ground game this week. That's my opinion. I think they rush for 150 to 200 this week. I don't know who's going to get the bulk of the carries, but I think it's what you're looking at, especially with the weather the way it is, and potentially being without Rome Odunze, you're losing one of your receivers that's going to stretch the field.
And see, I was actually kind of looking for DJ Moore to actually be more of an impact last week. And he got the ball a few times, but it wasn't necessarily as many times as you would think with the Dunze out, or even like with the tight ends. The tight ends, I think, probably should have been a little bit more active in that regard as well. There was too many either. What?
What's going on with Komet? He's been non-existent lately.
That's what I'm saying. I understand that you want to throw the ball to Loveland because he's had some success, but Cole Kmet's always been your guy. So I'm not saying you have to throw the ball 20 times, but the way that the Bears' offense is, it's not necessarily deep passes. You're looking at positive yardage like each and every play. And there are certain times when the in the running scheme, where you run the same running play 1, 2, 12, 19 times in a row, and you're getting anywhere between 1 to no yards, you would think that you would kind of dive it down to your tight end. And I
right on.
I think go for triple nines all the time.
I know an offense that's like that runs the triple streak. Nobody checked down, nobody left in the block. Quarterback's getting killed. You're just doing the same shit every goddamn week. But anyway,
working blue today. Well, see, that's the other thing too, because I know that's the same type of offense that the Miami Sharks are actually running.
Yeah. Go to the Cadillac, turn left. Green Bay, Denver. Let's go there.
Why?
Because I think that game has more implication on Green Bay than it does anybody else.
So we are, of course, going for the Denver Broncos in that particular aspect for a couple of reasons. Number one, the running back, RJ Harvey, UCF. But they're actually having an amazing season. They're, I think, 11-2, 12-2, somewhere in there. They do have the opportunity to go into, I think Green Bay is going into Denver. Yeah.
Correct.
And so with any luck, the Broncos are going to end up beating the living. They're going to win versus the Packers for two reasons. Number one, if they can kind of sort of rough them up a little bit, coming in next week against the Bears at home, that'll give us a little bit better opportunity to, score that 65-point victory.
The Green Bay Packers are favored by 2.5 in this game. That means you're looking at 5 roughly. You get 3 for the home field. Packers are getting 2.5, or given 2.5. They do have a couple injuries, none that are really great injuries. All their starters seem to be a go. You do have on Denver side, their guard Power's out with a bicep, and their wide receiver Bryant's out with a hammy. But again, all starters seem to be a go for both teams. The question is can Green Bay find success through the air in Denver?
So not only do you have the temperatures, but you also have that thin air above. That's why the Mile High City for a reason. But how on earth is Green Bay actually favored in a game versus a team at home in their hostile environment with a much better record and have actually played stiff competition, Gross, as anybody else?
I just telling you what I found online. 2.5 is Green Bay is favored by 2.5. So you got the 3 you get for the home field. I get it. Vegas obviously knows something we don't.
Apparently, the NFL is going through Las Vegas as The sky is falling insane, I guess.
So, I mean,
that doesn't make any sense to me, though. You have an offense that actually, that can put up some points, and an offensive line that can actually not only protect but actually run the ball, versus a defense. I mean, granted, you got Micah Parsons, who's, I guess, he's on the plus side of mediocre at best.
I think Denver pulls this one out.
I think they probably would pull this one out too. And like I said, even if they kind of rough up Green Bay a little bit, that'll actually do us a favor next week. It's a twofer.
I mean, Green Bay wins, it messes everything up in the NFC North. It's just going to be all the way down to the last week of the season. If Green Bay loses, they're going to slide it, and we'll have to win out the rest of the way to keep pace with the NFC North. Bears aren't a must-win. Lions aren't a must-win. It's that division is so tight right now.
Bruce,
I think I got Denver winning this one by just over a field goal, maybe like 5-6 points, but that's me. Mike, what do you got this game?
I think Denver pulls it out. They're at home, unfortunately. So I think the run game for Denver. I mean, I don't think anybody would predict them to be 11-2 at this point in the season. But their offense is doing a decent job, but everybody keeps on they're not with Denver. Everybody thinks offense, and that whole thing. They think that offense with Denver, but that defense they have there is very good. So I think that's a lot of the games they've won is because the whole team played, but a lot of it has to do with that defense and how well they've been playing all year. So I think Denver pulls it out. Maybe by a touchdown.
As much as I hate Sean Payton, but he seems to keep that team in the game all the way to the last quarter, fourth quarter, overtime, whatever it is. They're in the game. It's a play here, a play there. They're not blowing anybody out. I mean,
no.
They're just staying within a puncher's chance and throwing their punches when they can. And you got to respect a team like that.
Yeah, and it's there's been a couple weeks both sides have been doing really well, but then 1 week the offense do really well, the defense not doing well. So I mean, they're just staying in games, and I think you're right. Green Bay have to win, but I don't see Denver losing.
Not at home.
This game. Not at home.
I don't know. It takes a little while to get actually acclimated to that type of altitude. So, you're looking at maybe a quarter and a half of lethargy on the Packer side, and that would actually be enough to take advantage of, at least for maybe a touchdown, a field goal. Yeah. So you could be up by multiple scores by the time Green Bay actually kind of sort of gets their, feels the old oats, so to speak.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but we'll see. I just don't quite understand how they're favored, but hey, whatever.
You got one more game, Andy. Go ahead, Brian or Mike. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was saying. You got one more game that matters too.
Yeah, this game is huge.
We're kind of hoping for two things. Number one, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm hoping the Cowboys actually beat the Vikings. The Cowboys being like a third tier type of team. Their quarterback is just only matched by their ownership.
You have the Lions and Rams. Lions and then Rams, and then we'll go into the Cowboys and Vikings. That's how we do that. If you would pay attention.
I'm thinking that the Browns are probably going to end up pulling this out. It's going to be at home. It's against a Detroit Lions team that is a little bit banged up, but not too bad. Let's see, secondary. Yeah, the Lions in themselves over the last probably month or so have been, I don't say a Jekyll and Hyde kind of a thing, but their inconsistencies are starting to kind of show a little bit. You still have a fairly decent running game to where you're going to be able to actually possibly control the line of scrimmage, but you also have a Rams defense that likes to kind of sort of swarm to the ball. So if you have one person, next thing you know, you got three. They've been very, very good at coverage. And so, as long as they can actually get after Jared Goff, you're going to have an opportunity to be able to possibly even get like a takedown, a takeaway as well. At home, I don't necessarily see Detroit winning this. And if it is, it's going to be a real close game because the Rams in and of itself is actually they're a pretty solid team.
My question for you, real quick, before you go any further: who do you want to win? If the Rams win, they knock the Lions further down in the NFC North. If the Lions win, they knock the Rams a little further down in the NFC.
I can
What
see.
are your thoughts as a Bears fan? You're not actually in yet, but where are you at?
I can see two things. The reason why I say what I'm about to say is because I don't particularly care for either one. 0-0 tie. I would actually kind of like, in this particular case, probably the Rams to win because that more directly affects the Bears in the division. Because if you don't win your division, any possibility of getting a wild card, but if you don't win your division, that's going to be one of those things. And I even shared the thing that alleged NFL script with you guys. And, of course, the Bears are supposed to be in the NFC Championship game this year. So that's just what it says. So I think the Rams should actually pull this one out.
All right. I agree with you a little bit here. However, you do have Jared Goff on the opposite side of the field.
Yeah, whatever.
Going against Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are teams that just simply do not matter.
But listen to this. The Rams are pretty healthy going into this game, and you got the Lions missing two key components, two of their secondary. Nakua's on a tear right now. Stafford's hard to beat. But if Jared Goff can pull this off,
Gross.
Does that put him in MVP considerations?
No.
Mike?
Why? Because it just simply doesn't matter.
No.
It's like the Indiana quarterback winning the Heisman. It simply doesn't matter.
Anyway. All right.
Now, the only reason I say that is because, with the Bears having the season that they're having, I think it's actually just a precursor of hopefully what next year will be. Now that you're going to have a year under your belt and stuff like that, you have that opportunity for quite a few accolades because the Bears are going to have a better year, in my opinion, next year. So there is a strong possibility Stafford, he can pick them apart rather steadily. So if Detroit actually has any sort of shortcomings in their, especially in their secondary, he's definitely going to be able to go down and score at least 2 touchdowns for sure. But then you also have the defensive line for Detroit. As long as they can protect them, Rams should be able to pull this one out.
All right. One more game in the NFC North. Andy, you already started going on the tangent on it. Mike was offended. Let's start there. Vikings, Cowboys.
I'm not offended by what he says. Vikings, Cowboys. So the Vikings are coming to Arlington to play at Dallas. Injury reports looking. J.J. McCarthy is going to play for the Vikings. The one questionable for that they have for the Vikings right now is their offensive tackle and linebacker George Murphy, which they've been banged up this year pretty much. In Dallas right now with 2 key questionables is Ja'Marr Clowney and tight end Jake Ferguson. So that's going to be a game time decision with Ferguson because of his calf. It's a big hit not having him, but I think our backup tight ends do a decent job filling in. But with this, I think the biggest key of the game for me in this is going to be the middle of the line. The Vikings' interior offensive linemen have struggled all year, and with the 2 additions that Dallas has gotten, those 2 are going to have to step up. Kenny Clark and Quinn Williams are going to have to step up this week. CeeDee Lamb is a go this week after a concussion protocol, so we're going to have both receivers playing. With that, last week, I watched George Pickens fall right back into what he was doing in Pittsburgh, which I'm not happy about. You seem not to care when he wasn't the main receiver, it looked like. So I think things need to change with that. But I think Dallas pulls this game out at home against the Vikings with them beat up and having basically a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, who has been struggling as of late, and you could see it. So I just don't. Even with the throwing, I mean, they have to get the ball. The Vikings throwing the ball at all has been a struggle for them this year, and it's starting to wear. If you've noticed, if you watched any of the games, Justin Jefferson is starting to show emotions, not the right emotions. I should say he's getting frustrated. So I don't know. It looks like there's a breakdown in Minnesota, but Dallas needs to win out if they even have a shot at whatever the playoffs.
Wild card, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not even. They're like the last one. They're on the bubble. I think if they lose this week, you can pretty much count them out of even making the playoffs. So
yeah,
which I didn't have making it this year anyway. So whatever they do is a plus.
Well, it does look like Dallas is in fact bowl eligible. So
yeah.
No, what you're saying, absolutely. So that could be another game that's going to be a 0-0 tie, which would be fine with me. But if anything, Dallas ought, because it's going to be in Dallas. So you have the home field advantage. With any luck, you got the old sunshine, shining through the old windows there. That's the rookie quarterback has the opportunity that if you actually get the old happy feet, he is 100% susceptible to throwing the ball just any old where. I don't know if you've seen his little victory dance with his little, Jameis Winston W, but yeah, we got to stop that because that was horrendous.
The Cowboys should win this game. This should be, button up your chin strap, go out and enforce your will upon the opposition. There should be no reason this game is within 10 points. I don't see it. Unless Dak Prescott goes out and totally Tony Romo's the bed, I don't see a circumstance where it's not a 10-point or better victory for Dallas.
But I don't. Again, I go back to Dallas is going to have to run the ball a lot more than they have to kind of help out. But the way Dak's been playing, it's kind of hard to do that because he's playing great. Top five. He is a top 5 quarterback, and as much as everybody doesn't want to say it, I don't want to say it. He's a top 5 quarterback, and I knew he could get there. It's just all them injuries for them years have hurt him, but he's doing well. I mean, we have to win out to keep that wild card spot to even think about making the playoffs. So
who's the top 5 quarterback?
I agree with him. I 100% agree. Dak Prescott is killing it this year.
I've never ever said that.
Wow.
Go look at his stats, Andy. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's he at one point he was number 1 in the league. I mean, and it's I don't ever say that. When am I ever? I like Dak, but when am I going to ever lie?
You say Dak?
Be like you. It'd be like you. Yeah, and be like you and be like the Bears are always number 1 even though they're losing. So
you can't necessarily say that he was actually, leading the league in anything, because that was actually after the first week.
Yeah. So let's talk about our favorite.
If you remember, hold on one second. If you remember, I think if memory serves, it was actually the Miami Sharks versus the Dallas Pharaohs. Is that what it was? That vicious game, where it came down to the wire, guys were losing eyeballs and everything.
Yeah.
So let's talk about him. Jameis Winston isn't going to play probably, but Giants Commanders.
Yeah, we go there. That's let's move on. Giants Commanders. Nobody cares. It's I know there's a certain someone that we are really good friends with that cares. And I've kind of talked to him a little bit, but this is fight for who's going to be in the basement. This comes down to both teams are basically riddled with injuries. I guess we could blame that on the way they've struggled this year. is a lot of the injuries and not having proper backups. But again, I don't think we have a lot of Giant Commander fans that watch.
Well, rumors
we could
are swirling right now that if Marcus Mariota struggles, that New York is going to allow Jameis Winston to cross field and play quarterback for the Commanders.
So this
gotta get viewership. Got to get viewership.
I mean, this game comes down to who's going to get the higher draft pick. Basically, right now, Washington's 3-10, New York's 2-11. They're playing in New Jersey on that wonderful field they built a few years ago. So more injuries coming probably later today, with how cold it is. But again, like, it's a NFC East game. These division games it don't matter what your record is. The division games are always tough. So we'll see what happens with that. Nobody will be watching. We'll look at maybe highlights later. But move on to
what's that?
Anything that doesn't start with top 5 quarterback Kyle Trask, I'm out.
Yeah, he beat the Bucs.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Not him personally.
Next we got the Raiders versus the Eagles. Again, the Eagles are 8-5, still in that hunt for that, number 1 seed in the NFC. I think
South or East. They're not in the number 1 seed.
Well, there's still a possibility they could get it. But they have to win out to get it, basically, and to have some other teams lose. But to even get they have to win out. So even if they win out and Dallas wins out, Eagles will end up getting the division. But the Raiders are coming to Philly. It's cold, really cold, and it's Las Vegas. So again, I think the Eagles pull this one out.
Here's an advantage for the Raiders: the fact that Kenny Pickett's starting.
Yeah, they got cold. That might help them, I guess. I don't know.
His whole career he's been in cold weather teams, so he's going to be accustomed to it. He's going to know what adjustment he has to make to throw the ball well. Again, this is a game where it's hard to see outcome for the Raiders that is positive, but even Sunday.
Again, the only besides the ones that have been out for a while, Jalen Carter's out for the second week with that shoulder injury. So, and the Raiders are kind of been beat up all year, and their safety Chin. I think if he doesn't play for the Raiders, that's going to be that's going to be bad for them. And Thomas, their tight end, their other tight end, not Mr. Bowers, but again, I don't see a good outlook for the Raiders here. And again, like I said, I think the Eagles, they need to win out to have a chance at that number 1 seed, and some teams lose, but I don't see the Eagles winning out. So I don't know
what did you say Jalen Carter's injury was?
What did you say?
So what did you say Jalen Carter's injury?
His shoulder's messed up again. Shoulder. Yeah. It's this is, I think, his second week in a row now.
Johnson's out.
Yeah. Johnson's been out for a while.
Yeah.
And then Lord have mercy. All right. Sorry about that. I'm getting a text message that said playoffs. Really? When I was talking about the Cowboys earlier. Anyways, but yeah, we move on to the Eagles end up winning this one out. My wife thinks she's funny. But Yeah, we'll just move on. Eagles win this one.
All right.
We could go. We could move on to a new segment we have here on the crew is watching Mike Sidor's completely lose his crap because his team lost to the Falcons.
Well,
So we'll turn it over to the NFC South. We'll just concentrate on that game.
Oh,
all right. Well, this will be real quick before I get into that. There is a game to be played today. Panthers ahead in the New Orleans face the Saints. Saints are going to be without Kamara and Richards. Again, Carolina is a team on the rise. They look solid right now. It looks like they're gaining traction heading into the playoffs, unfortunately for Bucs fans. Saints coming off a win against the Bucs, so who knows? But yeah, I'd love to see the Saints win this one here. Just not sure it's gonna happen. And I really want to get into this whole Bucs team, so we're just gonna sit on your seatbelts, guys. We're gonna strap in. It's gonna be a little bit, so get a pillow, get some coffee, whatever you got to do. What?
Get some popcorn. Here we go.
Yeah. This is not.
Well, get a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, this is not the first week that the Bucs failed miserably. Last week they failed against the Saints. You're 4th and 1, and you run a toss. 4th and 1 in the rain. You run a toss. Let's sweep it outside. Let's not run off tackle. Let's not run up the gut. Let's just stretch the play out. Give him 3 yards to have to make the line of scrimmage, and then see hopefully he gets that 4th yard to get you the first down. Terrible play call. But anyway, Thursday night football, Bucs Falcons. Bucs have to win this game to keep a grasp on the number 1 seat in the NFC South. Come out, score early, score the first touchdown of the game. Bucs looking good, 7-0. And then that vaunted Todd Bowles defense, that defensive mastermind that he is. He's played the Falcons at least 7 times. He's got to know what's going on offensively for the Falcons. It's not like Kirk Cousins torched him last year for over 500 yards in a single game. Nothing to worry about here. Todd Bowles has this defense dialed in and bam, march downfield, score a touchdown. Okay, 7-7. No big deal. No big deal. What is going on? How are you still running a defense that you don't have personnel for? How are you running a 3-4 when you don't have 3-4 linebackers? How are you running a 3-4? Put in Anthony Nelson in coverage. Put in Hassan Reddick in coverage. Hassan Reddick has enough trouble getting to the goddamn quarterback. It's anyway. Defense has its issues. Jason Licht hasn't addressed the defense in years. Sure, he drafted cornerbacks in the second and third this past season. We drafted Winfield Jr. That's great and makes you all warm and fuzzy. But when you are looking at a defense without any edge pressure, without anyone coming off the edge with success, the best you're going to do is Hassan Reddick, and then you sit on your hands the rest of the season saying it's perfect, it's fine. Give me one game statistically where Hassan Reddick has made an impact or a substantial difference. There isn't one. It doesn't exist. So, Jason, kind of on you, too. You can't just pass the blame all the Todd Bowles on this defense here. The real issue on this team is your offensive coordinator. How do you have an offense with the same firepower that you had last season? How do you have an offense that has turned a team that has turned the ball over so few times, that has a -9 turnover differential, meaning they're ahead in the turnover game, and you're scoring 3 less points than you did last year on average? That's a field goal a game. How many games do you win if you kick a damn field goal and score? If you score 3 more points a game, you're not even in this conversation. We're sitting pretty. We're ready for the playoffs. What the hell? How is your offensive coordinator unable to successfully set up plays? How is your offensive coordinator unable to figure out a way to use the GD tight end? Our tight ends are non-existent. The defenses don't even plan for them. They know they're staying in the block. So you blitz. You're not losing any coverage defender. It's terrible scheming. It's terrible game plan. Ben Johnson, the Bears head coach. That man sets up a play 3 weeks in advance. He'll run a sweep reverse with his wide receiver. He'll bring it back out a week later, reverse with the wide receiver. Guess what's coming up in week 3? A play action pass out of the same play set with the same motion, and it goes for a touchdown. Ben Johnson is out there playing chess while Josh Grizzard is trying to figure out how to play goddamn tiddlywinks. It's awful. Awful. There is no offensive philosophy whatsoever. None. You have no scheme. You have no identity. You were praying and praying and praying that Bucky Irving came back. You were praying and praying and praying that Mike Evans came back. You were praying and praying and praying that Jalen McMillan came back. They're all back. You put up points this week. Congratulations. But your quarterback got sacked 5 times. 5. And every one of the pressures came right up the middle. Guess what? They're spying on Baker Mayfield because they know he's going to scramble because he doesn't have time to make the throws. Baker's got happy feet now because he's been hit so damn much. He's been in the pocket and getting bullied around because your offensive line can't protect him. You've got to figure out a way to get the ball down the damn field and protect your quarterback, because throwing it deep's not the answer. Running your receivers 50 yards down the field and not leaving your quarterback a check down is not the answer. The Bucs need to find an identity on offense. The Bucs need to figure out if we're staying with Todd Bowles, and I'm not saying Todd Bowles needs to be fired. He's definitely on the hot seat, but I'm not saying he needs to be fired. You got to give the man some weapons. You got to give him a defensive personnel that fits the scheme he's trying to run. It's time for Todd Bowles to say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. You need to give me pieces. It's all offense. It's all we draft is offense. Jalen McMillan is a luxury. Yes, we needed, or not Jalen McMillan. Mecca Ibuka was a luxury pick this year. Yes, we ended up needing him this season. Yes, he stepped up and played number 1 receiver for a couple of weeks because of being forced into it. But his production has fallen off because the other receivers aren't in the lineup.
So let me ask you a question here. Would you consider it to be an offensive or defensive thing?
It's 100%. Right now, it's an offensive issue.
No, I'm just wondering if you're going to eviscerate the equipment boy too. I mean, that's
it's terrible.
Totally get it. Totally get it. You know, because like I said, and believe me, coming from my team, I totally get it. However, do you honestly think that Baker Mayfield's going to be your best choice? You don't want to go with somebody either a little bit newer, a little bit older, a little bit taller?
No, I think Baker Mayfield's your quarterback. I'm not putting it on Baker. Baker's got happy feet. Baker's stepping out of the pocket and then going right back into that broken pocket and running into trouble. When Baker Mayfield was allowed to play free and teams weren't spying on him because they didn't know what to expect, it was exceptional. He MVP conversations. But now teams have figured out we got to spy Baker and put the pressure up the middle, and he starts sweeping outside when he's rolling right. Have the guy there. Ellis shadowed Baker the whole game. He spied him the whole game. So what happens is Baker's got to roll back in and step up into the pocket or continue on his progression outside and force the guy to go out with him. Baker Mayfield feels he's got to win every play, and he doesn't anymore. He's just got to get us to the next down. If the Bucs can establish an identity offensively, they should be in good shape. If we can run the ball on first and second down and stay ahead of the downs or stay ahead of the sticks, 3rd and 5, 3rd and manageable, should be feasible for the Bucs. The problem is the Bucs have no power game. When you have to put in Vita Vea to get a yard, that's a reflection on your offensive line. That's a reflection on your offensive coordinator who can't find a way to scheme a play to get a yard. If Philadelphia is facing a yard and it's 3rd and 1, what do? It's the most hated play in football, but it works.
Throw it to the outside.
They push the ball up the god dang center and they follow. Now it's 3rd or 4th and a yard. Guess what they're going to do? Same damn thing. force themselves forward in your getting a yard in football is about enforcing your will upon the opposition. The Bucs just can't do that.
So
Where's that dead horse thing on here?
yeah, I got so I have two questions. One, are you going to yell at the water boy too? Because you missed him. We got to bring in Bobby.
Get your own joke.
Secondly, do you think, and I'm kind of being funny but serious on the same thing, with Trask being there, was like, ever since they got rid of him, the Bucs have gone downhill.
No, but I do think.
I mean, just thinking about it. I mean, and I know it's funny, but to think about it, like they get rid of Trask, and it's just been a downhill climb.
No, seriously.
He was a lucky rabbit foot.
You got Kyle Trask, former college teammate Kyle Pitts, have his best game of his career, quite arguably the best game by a tight end in the past couple of years. You don't think Kyle Trask went in there is like, look, we can use Kyle here and pick this off or pick this defense apart. He knows the weaknesses of the Bucs defense because he saw it every day.
Yeah.
It's sad for Bucs fans because they're wasting careers of Vita Vea. You're wasting the career or what's left of the career of Levante David. David's done after this year more than likely. Evans might come back next year. Offensively, Evans might come back next year because 13 means a lot to his organization, himself individually. Year 13, I think he'd like to go out and play at least a majority of the season, go out with 1,000 yards. If the Bucs make the playoffs, they're just a bracket filler. We say it all the time. Every year we say it. There's 4 to 5 teams that are actually in the playoffs. The rest of the teams are there to fill brackets. Yeah, they might bust a bracket every now and then, but all said and done, there's 4 teams. Not very often does a team like the Bucs make the playoffs and make serious impact.
You know, I was just looking at the standings. If Dallas was in the South, they would have like a 2.5 game lead in that division. At 6-6.
Get out of here. But seriously, I mean, Carolina's coming. Carolina's right now sitting on top of the NFC South. They face the Saints team today that they should beat. Dave Canales is a good offensive mind. He's not a great offensive mind, but he's a good player's coach, good game manager, will keep you in the game and give you a fighter's chance. Can't say that about ROC in Tampa.
I think that's ROCK in the USA.
I'm not saying the Bucs should have kept Liam Cohen, who took a team that was -5 in turnover differential and still averaged 26 points a game. I'm not saying the Bucs should have kept Liam Cohen and got rid of Bowles, but maybe they should have fought harder to keep Cohen. I mean, I don't know. It's just you can't tell me that this offense is pedestrian. I'm back on it again. You can't tell me this offense is pedestrian. You can't tell me this offense is pedestrian. Give me the same stars. Give me the same firepower. Yes, they had injuries. Yeah. Okay. But you know what? When you had the injuries, you were playing better. When you had to make adjustments, you were moving people around and playing better. Now you got your players back. You're still missing Cody Mauch. You're still missing Ben Bredesen, who's out with injury. But your offense is there. It's time to put up. You got to put up points. Your defense is keeping you in games. They're not world beaters by any means. Go ahead, Andy.
So 2 things. Number one, if this is half of what you guys feel when I'm talking, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is. No, it's not even half. It's way times 2.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Times 2 on his end. But if you're looking at an offense that could potentially – you would have to look at literally switching – from ground zero, your offensive coordinator and his plays completely different, and that might even mean a new quarterback.
His 9 plays. You're worried about them starting over with a ding offensive coordinator that runs 9 plays? 9.
That's what I'm saying. So if you start over, your personnel has got a 100% turnover as well.
Give me
you
5
might be able
seconds.
to.
I'm going to draw up 10 plays.
You might be able to keep maybe 1 or 2 people.
Come on, man.
Mike Evans, because he's good for 1,000 yards, no touchdown. That's it. He's mediocre at best.
Yeah.
You have a running back that could conceivably get you some yards if you had an offensive line that would be able to actually run block or even pass block.
All we
You
had
got
is offensive linemen that run block.
You've got a quarterback that makes Kyler Murray look tall, who is going to start breaking down any day now. Unfortunately, just like Jaden Daniels, just like RG3, those kind of guys who have to run for their lives constantly. Look at Lamar Jackson; he's actually kind of struggling this year too because of the fact that he's been getting beat up and because of his age. So you're going to have to start from square one. You're looking at least 10 years.
No.
You just say shit to piss me off, Andy, and I get it.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate it. I love it. But honestly, I promise you, if Todd Bowles is here next year, Josh Grizzard isn't. We're going to be looking for a new OC. You're going to have an OC that, like it or not, that Baker's kind of on board with. Who's out there? There's no real OC that you're like, yep.
Actually, I hear Sharon Moore is actually looking for a gig.
Yeah. He might be looking for a job. I think if your biggest acquisitions of the offseason are going to have to be offensive linemen that can run block and pass block.
Well, I
think right now finding an edge rusher.
That's
and this
it.
Draft is full. This draft is full. This draft coming up is going to be full of edge rushers, and I think they need to find maybe 1 offensive lineman, 2 edge rushers in this draft. But they can run the ball just fine, but they can't pass block.
Well, what sucks?
They need to find somebody.
Hold on, let me actually respond to that. Or at least I kind of go on that. So they're kind of guilty of doing the same thing like almost every other team is. So they're looking to get potentially, a veteran offensive lineman that's going to be able to come in, kind of like Tooney for the Bears. But what you actually do is you actually go and you get your wide receivers, your quarterbacks, your running backs, those kind of guys and stuff like that, because those things are actually they're sexy. You can score points and you can actually get 25.5 sacks and all this other stuff, but you're not going to put that type of a thing into an offensive lineman. Customarily, you might have like the odd one, like Orlando Brown or that kind. Well, Tony Baselli, guys like that who are going to be kind of generational kind of a thing. Even though Tony Baselli got a bum shoulder and he had to retire early, but you just don't simply have teams that are actually willing to spend high draft picks and a lot of money on an offensive lineman, even though that offensive lineman, your left tackle, for example, could conceivably protect your quarterback, keep him upright, and possibly even help with run blocking. And you just don't do that.
Yeah, that's dumb. Have you not watched Dallas draft like every other year?
But
I only watch relevant teams.
The problem is the Bucs have had Mike Evans, they had Vincent Jackson, they had these shiny toys at wide receiver, right? So now you got a draft room that's like a kid. Every time a video game comes out, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Well, after a while, that new video game gets kind of dull and boring, and you got nothing to do. They need to go out and they need to get themselves an edge rusher, for sure, 100%. And they got to establish their defensive identity. If you're a 4-3 team or a 3-4 team, you got to know, you got to pick personnel for that. You can't just go grab random guys that played well in college or, you got to draft for your scheme. If you're changing head coach, we don't know what that scheme's going to be. I can tell you right now, if Todd Bowles stays, Josh Grizzard can't stay. So then you're going to be drafting for an offensive coordinator not in place. If Todd Bowles goes, everything's starting over. But anyway, do I think Todd Bowles gets fired after this season? Probably. Even if they make the playoffs, probably.
Who are you replacing him with?
That's the golden goose right there. That's the question. Is this who, where, how? Everyone's like John Gruden. John Gruden hasn't been in the game for how long? You got to find a young offensive mind. You got to find someone that can play creative football, that isn't afraid to take chances, that isn't afraid to make a mistake.
Sharon Moore. You just explained him to a T.
But, I mean, that's it. You just got to – Todd Bowles is probably gone after the season, even if the Bucs make the playoffs, because he is an A to B coach, kind of like Phil Jackson replacing Doug Collins in the Bulls organization. Doug Collins got him to the playoffs repeatedly. Phil Jackson came in and got him to the championships. So
Eventually.
I digress.
Well, we've already talked ad nauseum about this particular team. Now we're talking about basketball. We're talking about old college football. Can we talk hockey? Maybe a little baseball? I bet baseball. Hey,
although the Lightning will be playing at Raymond James Stadium here this year.
Well, let me.
See what I did there, Andy?
Can't hear you.
You remember the movie The Best of Times?
I don't. Speaking of the best times.
Robin Williams and, that kind of stuff. Well, if we're talking baseball, you heard about Beirut, right?
Anyway.
Here we go again.
Andy, we're at pick 6. And believe it or not, you won last week.
That's why I'm taking my extra few moments to say, you heard about Beirut. Answer the question.
First time for anything, I guess.
No, it's actually quite often.
No, it's not.
I'm not even going to give you the punchline. You don't deserve it. I'm picking the Falcons over the Buccaneers.
No.
Number 6 is the Eagles over the Raiders. I'm actually going to go with the Chargers over the Chiefs. Even though it's at home, they're going to be my number 5 pick because I think the Chargers have what it takes. You've got the Jaguars, number 4, over the Jets. Number 3 is the Panthers over the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to actually go with my number 2 pick is the Bears over the Browns. Should have been number 6. And we're going to go with we're going to go with the Broncos at number 1 over the Packers, only because I feel as though they're going to end up beating the Packers and they're the Broncos.
I took second last week, so I'll go next. At 6, I had the Falcons over the Bucs. No,
you didn't.
6, I had the Bucs over the Falcons. Bucs shit the bed. 5.
You're number 2, all right.
Even though they're up 14 going to the fourth quarter and still lose the game. Let's not talk about it. 5, Jacksonville. 4, Houston. 3, Seattle. 2, Steelers. And 1, I got the 49ers. Brian and Stout tied. So, Stout, you can go next.
All right. I got Seattle at 6. I got Houston at 5. Dallas at 4. The Niners at 3. Jacksonville at 2, and I put Denver at number 1 over the Packers.
Right on. Brian's got Houston, Jacksonville, 49ers, Seattle, Tampa, which he has lost already, and Green Bay. Gentlemen, I would like to say it was a pleasure to hang with you guys today, but it never really is. You guys have some closing thoughts?
Likewise.
Yeah, I always have closing thoughts. I want to bring up the fact that you did this.
Get ready to bore yourself with Mike Sidoris in another episode of What the Buck is Up.
What the Buck?
Who showed him how to use those buttons?
I know. Anyway, as always, I'd like to thank our wives and families for allowing us to come on here 1 hour every weekend to be complete and total morons. And Andy, the rest of the week. Till next week, you guys have a great night.
See, we got to add. We got.
Yeah. Bucs need to find an identity. This is just terrible football they're playing right now. Yeah. Go Bucs. I